Howdy folks, Future Jamie here again. So just quickly, this is the second half of the recording session from the sculpting and texturing. The video has ended up a little shorter than I expected. It's still about half an hour, but I did end up redoing a few things whilst I was recording, so there was a few big chunks that got cut out. It is worth noting that texturing can be quite laggy in Blender. There's not much you can really do about it, whilst maintaining the control that you need to paint what you want where you want it. So at this point in time, it's just a matter of kind of putting up with it and just taking your time and not getting too stressed out by it. Just know it's going to be laggy. So pretty often, whilst you're clicking and dragging and stuff, Blender will seem to sort of lock up. Just give it a few seconds and it will keep going, and then you're good to keep going. If anyone does have any specific working advice on how to improve the performance when texture painting, please let us know in the comments. I'm happy to try most things out, but just know I have gone through the first couple of pages of Google and tried every single suggestion that was there and got no consistent results. Anyway, back to past me with the texture painting a Velociraptor tutorial. So now we can actually move on to painting a diffuse texture. So to do that, first of all, we want to save that image, make sure it's all that linear color space, that's good. And then we'll close this, and then click new, and I'm going to call it Diffuse. And save that there. Beautiful. Okay. Now we want to set up the shader to include that. So we'll go image texture, select diffuse, it can get quite small, select the diffuse there, plug the color into base color, so now it's going to turn black, be all evil, and then again Control T to set the mapping correctly. You can alternatively actually just reuse this vector, because we've got the same we're using exactly the same coordinates and we've not changed anything. So for this purpose, that's fine. And then, yeah, we can go to the texture paint viewport and we want to probably, I'm going to set the shading to material preview so that we can actually see what we're doing. I'll scroll out here and I'm actually going to open, now I did create this image here. I'll upload it to Imager and leave a link in the description so you can download it as well. So what I did to get this was I just went to Google and did an image search for Velociraptor, and I found one that had a sort of similar sort of coloring that I was looking for. And then I downloaded the image, opened it up in GIMP, and just used the color picker tool to grab colors from around the image. And now I can use the color picker tool in Blender to create a color palette. So I might start by doing that. So in this left window, I'm going to press N and create a color palette and click new. And then hit the plus number when hit the plus when you've got a color that you want to add. So I'm going to grab the color picker here, grab that color and hit add. And then I'll add them in the same order. So I know that the first one here is the underside and the backside color. So that's the underside of like the belly and the back of the legs and stuff. And then we've got the 4 colors for the skin here. It's generally quite dotted around. It's quite varied. So you can sort of add that where you want it. And then there's this darker color here for around the eye, which I did notice. I'm probably not going to use that because when I painted my own sort of version, it didn't really work too well. But you're welcome to try. So I'm just going to grab the rest of these colors and just add them to my palette. I will grab that eye one as well, just in case. Beautiful. Okay, so then we will open up the diffuse here. Okay, so I actually want to start with a base color that's sort of like a dark green. Something like that. Probably not quite that green. Come back a bit closer to the yellow. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so that value is there. If you want to copy that. And then we'll grab the belly texture, or the belly color. And under the tools here, I want to change the texture So I'll add a new texture and then come over here, change that to clouds. And then I'm just going to bring that scale up a bit, probably to about 1, just so that it's not too crazy. And then switch to the paintbrush and start painting that on. Now I've got the black selected for some reason there. There we go. And so now we can sort of start to paint things on with an interesting texture. I've got my strength set to 0.5. I'm just going to see how far this gets us. And get underneath. And then the underneath of the tail can be difficult to get. So I'm just trying to get it with just on the edge of my brush. Just along the side. Oops. A bit too much there. Just along the side. Like that. And that's working quite well. Now there is a bit of a seam, so I need to zoom in to clean that up. That looks okay. Maybe go over once more, right along the bottom to just fill that colour out. And that clouds is doing quite a lot of work for us there, which is quite nice. It saves me from trying to paint in all these little dots and details and gives it to us for free. So we also want to get the back of the legs with this colour. And get underneath the foot as well. And just, because we've got that 50%, we can sort of just paint around a bit and get it quite nice. Now I'm doing all this with my mouse, just to prove that you can. And you can also do this with a tablet. It's generally a bit easier to do painting and sculpting tasks with your tablet, but it's not impossible. And I probably want to paint that back over, but that's alright, we'll get the rest of this done. So I want to do the back of the arms, basically the inside of the palm of the hand. It's looking good. And then we can start to grab these other colours, maybe bring the strength down a bit more to about 0.2 to 0.3, and just start painting them over. Now that's, maybe try this darker brown. Yeah, just paint over in places and try and sort of make the textures look a bit more interesting. And the more that you do, the more realistic it's going to start to look. Don't worry about the claws and stuff at the moment. We can fix that up separately. So maybe I want to turn the strength up a bit for a while now to get some more darker colour patches in. No. It doesn't have to be too perfect or anywhere. We can always sort of blur things together a bit later on if you need to. But we're just sort of adding just patches of colour around the place. I'm not being too pedantic about where the colour's going as well. Come on. I'm getting bits of slowdown here and there, so I'm just sort of getting bits and pieces of colour where I can. The green, I don't want to see much of the green at all after we're done. It just should be a undercoat that is showing through other colours. I haven't painted much of this colour along the tail. And then maybe we'll grab a lighter colour. Turn that strength down quite a bit. Sort of tidy up some areas where there's some where it's looking a bit problematic. There we go. Make the brush a bit smaller. You should get slightly better performance, but obviously then you need to paint a bit more carefully. Make sure you're covering large areas. Some of these darker spots look like they need lighting up, so I use this lighter colour to do that. And just by layering these colours over each other with that clouds texture, and I haven't changed the settings on the clouds texture at all, you can do whilst you're working, make it a bit easier. I feel like I want to blur this area, which I believe we have a soften function. Let's try it out. Not really working. Let's try a smudge. Smear. Just bring that green in a little bit. Yeah, smear's working okay. Even for me, this texturing process can be quite chuggy. I think Blender's not super optimized for texture painting, so that's just something to be aware of. I'll grab another color, do some more color painting, try and wear these greens. Really looking still quite green. I want to sort of bring that down to more of a natural color. All of a sudden, our good friend the Velociraptor is starting to look quite good. Quite intimidating. He's starting to look pretty realistic. Just targeting the most vibrant green areas to bring them back down to a more natural color. Not too worried about where lines are. Obviously, I don't want it to look. I don't want lines along my model or along the texture. But like tiny little details like that once you zoom out and you're not looking at the hand anymore, not a big issue. Obviously, if your animation involves having a close-up on the hand, then you want to spend a bit more time on that. The animations we'll be doing are just sort of some basic walk cycles and stuff like that. A couple of little actions. Beautiful. Okay. Looking kind of camouflage, kind of interesting looking. I'm happy with this texture as it is for now. So I'm going to leave it. And we will just fill in where the claws and the teeth are with probably a light color that's just off. We've got white and just off white, just in the yellow, because that is more realistic. If we paint here, I believe this is all the claws, and we've got that texture still on. To turn that off, we can just press X. So the claws are now really bright. At least we can see where they are. I think the teeth were next door to them. Yes. So once I painted that in, you can see the teeth are all coloured in nicely. The tongue, I'm not sure where that is, I'll be honest. So why don't we paint on it? Ah, we don't have it selected. Okay. So I can't paint on it. Now, the gums, I believe, were along here. Yes. Oop. I don't want to interfere with the colours we've got here too much. I might just paint. I remember it being up along here. Now, I think we're going to need to. Okay. Come out of texture paint mode here. Go to object mode. And then go to edit mode. And just select everything there. And then there we go. We can see that the gums come down here and that the tongue is there. So I was just trying to find them. So I actually want a pinkish color, I think. Like a reddy pinky color that's quite dark. Something like that. We'll try it out and see how it looks. Make that smaller. There we go. Get those in. Come out of edit mode. They look okay. I've just painted on the back of that, so I need to fix that up. So I'll just grab this color here. And so we just painted on the inside of the mouth there. Now that should probably be a pinkish color as well, actually, now that I look at it. So let's grab that color and paint it in. So going too far up will result in painting the outside of the lips, which we don't want. I think we can go all the way back. That should be okay. That's looking pretty good. Just going to select these vertices here and Control plus. Here we go. So over here, we just want to paint where these are. Not go too far outside of that. Risk painting the outside of the lips. Out there is a couple of polygons here that aren't filled in, so we'll just get that. Although these two, they're up here for some reason. think the unwrapping didn't quite work properly, but that's fine. We can just paint this. And go back to material preview. So that's all filled in on the inside there. Now I feel like the side bits here should be a pinkish color as well. Probably not the same pinkish color. Probably a bit darker. So that it's not super bright and standing out. We'll paint that in. So at least we've got some color for these parts. Yeah, that's looking okay. And then we can probably, because we don't need a mirror anymore. I'm just thinking about the subdivisions. So let's just try. So we turn the level on the viewport down. That will make the area where there's seams go a bit weird. I believe if we go subdivision surface, it smooths things out to how they were when we were painting. And that should be fine. Now if we turn that up, I'm not seeing any big issues. A couple of little tiny issues in there. But otherwise it's something that's perfectly livable. So I think we can join these two now. We can actually, I'm going to save. I'm going to actually do a save as. And save it as the file name, and then I'm going to do multi-res. And then I'm going to kill the multi-res, and then do a save as. I've got tutorial 4 multi-res, and then tutorial 4. So I'm going to save on tutorial 4. Just so I've got the multi-res backed up somewhere. So if I do need to, for some reason, get re-access to that, then it's there. Otherwise, it's just a lot of information in the file that we're not actually using. Yeah, so we've got claws, we've got teeth. They should probably be a different color, I'm thinking, for at least the... So I just want to touch up the color on the claws and probably darken the teeth a little bit as well. Obviously, in the natural world, nothing's ever going to be perfectly white, and they, even though they are off-white, which we did choose, basically compared to the darkness and the color variations that's currently there, they are standing out quite a bit. So my thought is the claws, from what I can tell from reference, they tend to be pretty much a really dark black sort of color. So I might grab like this dark brown and make it really dark and try painting that. So that was the claws on this side. And that's looking much closer to the reference. I might lighten that a little bit though, because to me that looks quite out of place. Yeah, that looks okay for the dark, very dark brown. And then the teeth should be probably much more yellow. I'll just bring that up. So go to sort of a yellowy, orangey color, and then bring the color down. And bring the darkness down, and we'll try that sort of color. That's the sort of color that I'm seeing in reference, but that looks nasty, to be honest. So I'm going to brighten that and see how it looks. Yeah, not as creepy. Not convinced. Maybe take it more of a pastel sort of color. Yeah, I think that will do. Maybe make it... Oops. Just be careful you don't paint on the other parts of your texture. Maybe make it a bit a darker pastel. Yeah, that's a bit... I could live with that. So it doesn't look like he's brushed his teeth recently, but that's okay. And then we've got the sort of brown sort of colour here. And I've actually painted over that one, so let's grab that colour there and just paint it back over. There we go. And even with just flat colours in the mouth, because the teeth are obscuring everything, it's really hard to see that there is an issue. Now we can actually, because we've just got we got rid of the multi-res, I didn't want that to interfere with anything else. We can actually merge these two models together. Select the mouth stuff, and then shift select the body, and then Control J. And you should see everything joined together with the subdivision. And I'm just seeing some weird stuff going on with the tongue. So to fix that, I believe it's just that the tongue didn't actually get any seams or anything like that. So it's playing up basically. So we've got a edge loop that goes around all the way around there. So I'm just going to Alt left click on that, do Control E, mark seam, and then press L to select linked with my mouse hovering over the tongue, and hit U and then unwrap. So we're just unwrapping the tongue, and then we've got the two sides of the tongue, so the top and the bottom. I'm going to select one with L, move it over the top, just so that they're in the same sort of spot. Scale it down quite a bit, bring it back over to where we've got the tongue colours. Scale it down a little bit more. Probably about there is fine. That's where we had the tongue previously. And then if we look at the tongue now, yeah, it's no longer got a big line down the middle of it, which is good. That's what we want. And you're welcome to go in and sculpt in some extra details using some alphas on the tongue and the teeth. Mine are all looking quite crazy. The teeth are all looking a bit weird because of the fact that they're not unwrapped as well. So that's probably something worth doing. I'm not going to do it now. In fact, for now, I think it just adds a little bit of character for the teeth. But yeah, that concludes this part of the tutorial. Go team! We have now got a textured, badass looking Velociraptor. And I'm very happy with the results. He looks ready to go now. So next video we'll add in the rig and add in the bones and the controls for the bones to make them work so that we have an animatable creature. Right now he's pretty good for putting in simple scenes in the background and stuff. He's looking really good. I'm really happy with the results. Yeah, just by chucking on that green base color and then putting a bunch of colors over the top, it actually is a surprisingly simple technique that gets pretty good results as far as a semi-realistic looking Velociraptor. And the normal map is doing a lot of heavy lifting. If you did want to change the strength here, so if you're finding that you find the grooves a bit personally too strong, you can just adjust this strength here. Maybe set it to about 0.5. And then the wrinkles in the skin are a bit less pronounced. I'm happy with it at 1. I think the extra detail that it brings out looks quite good. We can have a look in some different lighting situations. Future Jamie again, please make sure you save your image file. I made the mistake of not saving at the end of the recording session, so I've had to repaint the whole thing again, which, not too big of a deal. I've done it a few times already in practice, but it's just a little bit frustrating to have to completely redo. So to save the image, when you are in the texture paint mode, just in the properties panel, just hit save on this image here. If it's the first time, it will bring up a dialog box to choose where to save the image to, and then it will save an external image that is then there forever. And then just hit that save button again if you make any updates. So if I painted a bit just in there, you can see that save button just comes back up again. So with that in mind, this is the version of the Raptor that will be on the Patreon. So the texture is going to be slightly different. I used all the same techniques as before and the same colors and everything like that. I just had to redo the whole thing because I forgot to save the image texture out. Very happy with that. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit like, subscribe to make sure that you can stay up to date with any more videos as they come out. The file for this will be on the Patreon, as always. Links to Discord and the rest are all in the description. And until next time, I will see you later. Goodbye.